Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell actually a special edition of the Casey Campbell podcast. And we are here, yes, looking at more paint schemes. Yes, it is time. It is Daytona 500 week. So we figured we'd bring on the paint scheme enthusiast, Mr. Michael Carey. How's it going?
Good, not too bad. It's the best time of the year. Right up to the 500, everyone's getting their last minute cars in, the last minute reveals, and for me, it's Christmas. So this is a lot of fun for me.
Yeah. Hey, one more thing before we start all this, just to kind of give an update to the people out there of what you've been up to.
Yeah, so I left TobyChristie.com as an editor back in January, just to pursue other opportunities for this year. Working diligently at getting something finalized for this year. Getting pretty close to a couple of different opportunities. So hopefully by the end of February, I'll have some news to share. But it's going to be a very exciting development, I think, if all goes as planned. And I'm excited to tell people about it. But you got to sign the paperwork first. So once the paperwork's all signed, the world will find out.
Okay, so how this works, if you haven't seen one of these before, is that I've asked Michael to give a bunch of his favorite schemes. Of course, as you know, he has a lot of connections, or actually every connection with every designer in NASCAR. Yes, every single one. And he compiled a list of his favorites on the list. And we start with the newest paint scheme and the newest team of NY Racing and the Grambling State scheme that Greg Biffle's going to run in the 500.
So this came from Brendan Droppo. For those of you who don't know about Brendan, he actually, a lot of the Lowe's cars that Jimmy Johnson drove, I mean, we're talking back from, I think during the Gen 6 era towards, the SS and the Camaro, he designed a lot of them. Patriotic cars, Jimmy Johnson Foundation, the Lowe's primary cars. He actually designed the championship winning 7th title for Jimmy Johnson. So the guy's an incredibly talented designer. He followed him to IndyCar as well with Carvana. And he put out this car. So he actually worked with what used to be Extreme Motorsports. This was kind of the company before NY Racing hit. He did a lot of cars for the 44 team back then with J.J. Yaley as a driver, Reed Sorensen. And this is the latest car he made, Grambling State University. So a lot of people were kind of caught off guard by the scheme itself. It's like, why does it look like that? Well, the State University mascot is a tiger. So looking at the car now, it makes a lot more sense. And I'm a huge fan of the fact that it's the same pattern, like the tiger stripes. You got I'm colorblind, yellow, orange stripes on the hood, and then going down the sides, it's black faded into like grayish white. So it's a nice contrast. And, for me, I love with the university car in particular, the mascot is kind of the go-to thing to do, but he didn't put like the mascot itself. He took the print of the tiger and put it on the car. And it's unique. I mean, you don't usually see university cars anymore. And, the primary color of the university is this yellow orange I was talking about before. It's all over the car. So overall, I mean, the car looks great. Hopefully it qualifies for the 500. That'll be another Brendan Droppo car for the 500. And we'll see Biffle in the 500 again, hopefully soon.
All right. Yeah, it's a really, really clean scheme. It looks like almost like that Georgia, that either the Georgia G or the Green Bay Packers G looks like. I don't know.
It's kind of interesting how that logo is spread across a couple of different universities, a lot of different high schools across the country, and there's no copyright infringement, no nothing. So, I mean, it's good. I mean, but the thing is, you see that G, you don't think of Grambling State University. You think of the Green Bay Packers. You think of Georgia. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to see this car. I wonder if we'll see a Georgia car with Chase Elliott one day.
Maybe.
You never know.
You never know. All right, what's next?
So the next one up is the Bumper.com Mustang for Timmy Hill. So Timmy Hill is actually trying to pull triple duty this weekend. He's in the 56 in the Truck Series. He's in the 66 in the Xfinity Series, and he has to.
Actually, J.J. Yaley, I think, is in the 66.
No, Timmy Hill's in the 66.
I just checked the roster portal on that one. And he's in the 60.
They changed it? Okay, I guess they changed it. So anyway, back to the car, Bumper.com. So this was designed by Sean McGee. He's done a lot of work for MBM and Timmy Hill in the past. The logo itself is just a car and a couple of, half circles, if you will. But Sean was able to kind of take the logo and plaster it around the sides, including the car right in front of the rear tire. And to me, one of my favorite kinds of paint schemes are cars that will feature the company logo as like the dominating feature. Red Bull, great example. Coca-Cola with the little accent, I think, between the C and the L, I believe it is. When a designer can really incorporate the sponsor logo into the paint scheme, it makes it look that much better. It's not just a bunch of random circles. It's actually the bumper.com logo, just expand it. And Sean has always done a really good job with clean cars. I think there's a couple more of his in here. But it's a very colorful car. Hopefully the chrome numbers make it through inspection on a white base. That's going to be kind of hard to tell. I've heard rumors that, NASCAR is kind of maybe going to enforce the chrome numbers a little bit harder because some of them are getting a little bit hard to read on certain colors on the background. So we'll see. But overall, this car, it's a very modern design. And I'm a huge fan of, the sponsor logo being the dominant feature on the car.
All right. Yeah, it looks pretty clean. All right. What's next? Ooh.
So this was one of the loudest cars yet. And Kyle Williams from the decal source, the test car that Colleague had in 31 was amazing. I loved that car so much. It reminded you of the Vassar Sullivan car in IMSA. Mm-hmm. And this is kind of like the watered down version of it. But what I like about this car is Chevy accessories. You don't think of blaze yellow and black with Chevy accessories. You might think of, if you look like Sheldon Creed, for example, during his time with GMS sponsored by Chevy accessories, he never really had a blaze yellow car like that. Excuse me. So for a sponsor to have fun with this and just kind of do any color you want, and the design itself, it's a very sharp looking design. And honestly, if you look at NASCAR's marketing campaign, they do a lot of designs where they have like thin with the lines at 74.5 degrees. It looks like it's like raining chrome almost. Like during the playoffs, they had a lot of graphics with that detail. This car kind of reminds you of that. And Kyle has a great eye for stuff like that, is to kind of hiding these Easter eggs in these cars. And you'll see another one in a minute. But yeah, Kyle, the thing about Kyle is he actually has to design for a bunch of different teams, usually at the same time. He'll have different screens up of different cars. So what Nice Motorsports might want, Colleague Racing doesn't want. So you got to get yourself into that mindset of different teams and their demands and what they want. So Kyle does a great job at that. And this, he just created a very loud car, and it worked because the car really popped off the track. It ran well. So, hopefully we see more of a car like this in the future.
Right. Yeah. I noticed, this does look like a Vassar Sullivan car. I don't feel like my IMSA days. Is Bozy going to pop out and work on it or something? I don't know.
Yeah, but Bozy's get behind the wheel one of these things one day.
He will. All right, what's next? Ooh, I like this one. It's the Eric Jones Focus Factor car. When this came out, it was I liked like the color scheme of it, like the green and blue of it.
So when this car came out, this was, I think, one of the first revealed next gen cars for the season.
Yeah.
And it kind of gave fans the chance to really analyze the new number placement. And one of the things I want to focus on, no pun intended, literally no pun intended. That was actually kind of funny. So if you take the Focus Factor paint scheme here and you make it like it was 2021, the Focus Factor part is going to be so small and so skinny. It's going to be hard to see. Ally had the same problem. The new car this year, it works out great. So with a logo like Focus Factor, a design like this works. And I'm a huge fan, especially years ago, like over the past couple of years, when the side sponsor logo above the rear wheel, when it's angled or if it's rotated, because it gives the sponsor more room to breathe a little bit. And you'll see a couple cars this year with some big teams that have, the rotated logo like this. And, Focus Factor, I never heard of it, but to me, you see a car like this, you're going to want to find out who that company is. And Brad Sison over at RPM, he's going to have a busy year this year with 2 cars to work with and a truck even. But, he did a great job with this. And this was honestly one of the first paint schemes to come out that a lot of fans were like, wait a minute, this actually might work. Like this new number placement might actually be a really good thing. You could fit an associate sponsor right behind Focus Factor, but, I guess we'll see what Petty GMS does. The other thing to point out too is right in front of the rear wheel, this, like the space right below the Focus Factor, like the gray and the green area, you're probably going to see a lot of cars this year have that have that area kind of colored out for another sponsor. SHR has done this many times with their cars. That's probably gonna be one of the leading trends this year. And I think RPM was kind of one of the first to, establish, that design area might hold something.
Yeah, that's something really we're gonna really look at this year. If you look at how clean that scheme is. It's just the green, and something about green and blue just go together.
Well, the thing is, you don't usually see a lot of green race cars because they're bad luck. But hopefully that 43 car has some good runs this year. I think they will with the next gen car. I think this car is definitely gonna be a great equalizer for a lot of teams. And who knows, you might see Eric Jones. I mean, he could be a good sleeper pick for a lot of races.
Yeah, remember Bubba Wallace's Cash App scheme?
I do. That was a beautiful purple and blue, and it's a shame. Oh wait, no, I'm thinking of Click and Close. I'm sorry. Yeah, Cash App. I mean, that car was just, it was like GoDaddy. It was just green. Like it was just all green. And green and purple race cars. I mean, you don't see that a lot often anymore. But now you're starting to see some sponsors and teams start to bring back those colors that not are forbidden, but it's like, why haven't we, painted a car like this before?
Right. All right. What's next?
So Aaron Burnett, he was at CGR last year. He moved over to RFK Racing. So a lot of people, when the Fastenal cars came out, and I think that was the car that established this design language. So the yellow accent on the door, like on the bottom going towards the rear wheel, it seems like that's going to be kind of like RFK's design, like the petty swooshes that RPM had. That's probably going to be the RFK design language this year. And it's unique, a different color where we have a nice contrast. But the one thing I liked about this car was the subtle accent behind the 6 and the violet defense going kind of like from the front wheel up towards the rear windshield. It's a little touch, but if you take that away, the car looks a little bit more bare. You add that in, and it looks even better. And again, a purple race car. You don't see a lot of purple race cars and green race cars and even pink race cars nowadays. And for a company like Violet Defense, it's got to have violet or purple in the mix. And adding yellow to the car, I mean, the number jumps out even more. And on top of that, judging by the render, and we'll see if this gets approved, that 6 is chrome or reflective. So seeing a car like this under the lights might be really attractive. Like I said, we'll just have to kind of wait and see if, this final number gets approved.
Well, I'll just have to see. This is one of the cars I did like to see in the LA Clash. So I don't know. Maybe it got a nickel and dime on the Money Stop podcast that Cole Cusimano and his brother host. So
yeah, I mean,
all right. We have our first Xfinity scheme next, and it's Ryan Truex. And then the Circle B Diecast scheme, another Truex Management Group kind of scheme a little bit, kind of.
Yeah. So Circle B is one of the few sponsors where they will really let the designer kind of have at it. They don't mind changing up their brand guidelines, for example. I feel with any designer, they kind of just throw them out like it's nothing. And Kyle Williams, again, I mean, he said he wanted to go for some sort of like staticky, you turn on your TV from the 80s and you see static and colors and stripes. This car represents that a lot. And what's kind of interesting is on the hood, right above the Circle B logo, there's an old TV there, and it says like order today. And even like back here on the rear quarter panel. So he puts in these little details that you don't have to put in, but to kind of really give it that old school, like the staticky look I was talking about, he really did a good job with this car. And the car kind of just screams like disruption. Like it's trying to interrupt and disrupt something. And this car just really did a good job at it. Even like, the accent above the Circle B logo on the hood. I mean, it's a bunch of random colors and shapes, but it gives that static look to it. And, I'm expecting a lot of good work from Kyle this year. He had, I think, 128 cars on track last year between ARCA, Cup, Xfinity trucks, and sports car racing. So he's been busy, and he's going to be busy this year. But I think, he's definitely one of the hardest working designers, and this car just proves that.
I was actually taking a look at, tweets and stuff, and you just put it one as we're doing the show. You literally just put out a tweet about 4 minutes ago.
Honestly, some of them are scheduled. So if I know I'm going to be away from my computer, or I know I'm doing a podcast, for example, I'll put something on social media just in that time frame. So I forget which car went out there. I think it was the Black Rifle.
It was the Hour car. So
Sean McGee. Yeah. the O2 car. Yeah, I schedule some stuff throughout the day and just kind of keep the social media flowing.
Nice.
And also kind of get me off it for a little bit, which is good.
That's good. All right. What's next?
So Spire has been very good this year when it comes to their designs. And Sean McGee, Scooter Systems. I mean, this car it's different. Like if you look at the Scooter Systems cars of the past couple of years, there's flames. There's the very unique texture of the Scooter Systems, like the tile itself that Sean always included on a lot of the cars. Here it's different. You have like this black and gray camo, less orange this time around. And I think that says a lot about Scooters, that they're okay with kind of losing that orange and letting Sean kind of have his fun with this. And I think the car looked great. It has, a lot of great shapes and great edges to it. I was a huge fan of the black and gray camo, but the other thing is too, I would love to see this in white, like a white and gray camo. I think it'd be really strong, perhaps for the night races. But yeah, I mean, like I said, Spire has been very good this year between the 7 and 77. And, Sean had the Scooter Systems car. He had the Built Bar car. So he's going to be, he'll be busy with Spire this year, I think. But this is definitely one of the better next gen cars that I've seen so far.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always been impressed with what the Spire cars look like. And it is a really, really, really clean scheme for sure.
Yeah.
All right. What's next?
Well, and the thing is too, before we leave from this car, so all the associates like down here, like by the old exhaust pipe location.
Yeah.
Sean did a great job of just kind of keeping that in its own shape. And that's going to be another trend that you're going to see a lot of cars this year is the associates or a associate, like a major one, is going to be kind of like in its own box, just to kind of separate itself from the primary sponsor.
Right.
And Spire has a lot of them. Spire has a lot of associates. And I think throughout the year between the 7 and the 77, you're probably going to see different designs for each car, maybe just to kind of see what they're comfortable with. And then they'll probably land on one for good.
Nice. It sounds good. All right. Well, what do we got next? Ooh. Another clean.
So Ryan Daley, I was a huge fan of this car last year. And last year, Ryan was able to sneak like chrome, like the reflective numbers on the car, I think for Daytona and the second race of the year last year. And then they had to change it. This year, chrome numbers are allowed. So they decided to make the 39 reflective again. And this design is more evolutionary than revolutionary. Like it kind of looks the same as the CMR cars from the past couple of years with the various shades of blue in it. But it's like Ryan just has his own like distinctive style to it. Like it's a busy car, but it still has like that clean aesthetic to it. And like I said, with the rotated logo heading up the side of the car, that I think that adds a lot more room for the sponsor to breathe. And, the CMR cars, Ryan Sieg Racing cars, they always look good. And usually Ryan is one of the reasons why. So it's no shocker that, one of his cars made this list and it's from Ryan Sieg Racing.
Yeah. I mean, I've always loved the CMR roofing. And of course, they're going to be on the car a lot this year for that team. And I would expect that car to run really, really well. So, I mean, there's a lot of optimism heading into this team, heading into the season for RSS. So,
yeah,
see about that. All right. Ooh, what's next? Oh, this actually just got announced. Yes, I think this got announced today, I think.
So this car was actually, it was a fan vote. So Royalty Graphics, also known as Kyle Walters, he designed 4 Swan Security cars, and the fans voted that this one's called Storm. It was supposed to debut at Auto Club, but today Ryan and Swan announced that it's going to run at Daytona instead, in addition to Fontana and I think Las Vegas and a couple other races down the road. Not sure if that was planned, but this car, it has a busy design to it. And, I think I see some nods to the old scheme, like right in front of the front wheel. There's like those spikes that I think the old Swan car had. This car has great halftone design to it as well. And this car kind of just reminds you of like a storm and rain. Like it gives you like that, like the dark blues. And it was kind of like a dramatic car. And Kyle did a great job with this. I think this is one of his first cars and what's expected to be a giant portfolio for him down the road. And Ryan Vargas is also a driver who really takes care of his sponsors. So hopefully Swan steps up even more this year. I think they added a couple races last year when the original agreement was like 6 or 7 races. Sounds like they are again. And yeah, we'll see what happens with Ryan.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, really, really good car. And Swan does a lot for the sport. I mean, they're one of Eric Estep sponsors as well. So
yeah,
you see them everywhere. Of course, I think you can get it. Can't you get it like Best Buy or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I think Best Buy is maybe like an exclusive provider of Swan security. I was trying to track this down the other day. Because usually Best Buy is being promoted along with Swan.
Right.
So yeah, but I've heard nothing but good things about Swan security systems, and pair them up with like Ryan Vargas, who's a very social and charismatic person. That's a very good match for the sponsor and driver.
All right. What's next?
So this is the Bucked Up Energy number 07 for Joe Graff Jr. Michael Maselli, also known as Race Artist. He's done a ton of work over the last 20 years. He likes to kind of keep his name, I think, behind the scenes, but he does so much work for Hero Cards and a lot of smaller Xfinity teams. What about this car is roof, or the hood's black, and then it fades off into like this nice pink and a little bit of green and yellow, and it matches the Bucked Up Energy can really well on the side of the car. So basically, you kind of took the same color palette and put it all in a race car. And it's a very unique blend of color between black, pink, and I think that's green or yellow. It's kind of hard to kind of mesh those colors together, because you can easily put them together on a car and it looks horrible or it looks like crap. Here, he does a really good job with the gradients behind it. I love the Bucked Up Energy logo right in front of the contingency area. And putting the physical product on the car, to me, is a big thing too, because if I see that can in the store, I might be more inclined to buy it as a consumer because, I saw on a race car, especially for kids. But yeah, overall, I mean, this car looks great. I also like how on the hood, the logo goes from pink to green, and then the roof is green. But yeah, I mean, I think this car was one of the best cars in Xfinity revealed so far.
Yeah, it's got a lot of colors on there. I remember when I saw this, it's like, and it's got like it's got an energy drink on there too. So yeah, I mean, look at all the colors that they use on there.
It's colorful for sure.
That it is. All right. What's next?
So this was revealed last week before the Clash. Black Rifle Coffee is joining Petty GMS with Ty Dillon. Also for the 500 this week. Dick Clavico with GMS is, I think, going to be designing some 42 cars this year. If you look at the Black Rifle Coffee brand and what their brand image is, I think this card matches it perfectly. I do like the circle around the 42. It kind of gives like its own bubble. And I'm a huge fan of when, the paint schemes really match the company image. And, Black Rifle, they go for that very, American, they support the troops, that very American way, and that very, kind of like a Patriot-esque coffee brand, I would say.
Yeah.
And this car reminds you almost of like camo in the military with the green and the black and the gray. It matches the brand well, and I would not mind seeing this car on track more often. But it's great to see that they're stepping into NASCAR as a primary sponsor in this way. They supported Noah Gragson for a while, but I don't think there was ever a Black Rifle Coffee Company car yet. And here, they're taking the whole car, and it's a great entrance with Ty Dillon. The 42 is back at Petty GMS. So there's going to be a lot of attention on this car, and Black Rifle Coffee is going to be the main benefactor of all that attention.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a very, very clean scheme. It looks like an army tank a little bit. So
yeah, and that, like I said, it goes with the brand identity and what the demographic that Black Rifle is going for.
Mm-hmm. All right. I know you got some more schemes. What do we got?
So I had to split it into two because of the different image types, but these are more, some of the designers I know, some I don't, but I'll explain, each one. So the Rheem Car, the reason why I picked this was because SHR as a whole has been, they've been doing fantastic with their paint scheme designs this year. If you look at this car compared to Christopher Bell's car, it's night and day. And seeing Rheem back with Kevin Harvick, the way the car is designed, it almost reminds you of the time that Rheem was back in Harvick, around 2011, I think, in 2013. It's great they're back together. And like I said, SHR has just been really killing it with their paint schemes this year. You see the Busch Light logo, it has like its own box to be in. That's going to be a trend you're going to see a lot. And I think the bottom half of that car from like the forward down, like the white, I can't really describe what that part of the design is. But the bottom half of the car, I think it's going to be something SHR is going to do a lot this year, like where they have the Busch Light logo in its own little pocket. And it kind of like the design will kind of go straight and then go down. That might be a common trend. And if that's a common trend, honestly, if they just keep this base and change the colors on it, they're gonna have a lot of great schemes this year. But SHR has done a great job this year. I think a lot of teams can learn from SHR for sure on the paint scheme design.
Yeah, it's SHR has been killing it, especially this. Someone mentioned to me, I think in my group chat, is this was one of their favorite schemes so far.
And like I said, it's great to see Harvick back with Rheem again. So
yeah, I mean it's the 10th. I believe it's the 10th anniversary with that team. So I think 10th. 10 or 15th anniversary.
They've been in racing for 15 years.
Right.
So they're going back to their roots in a sense.
Nice.
The next one I had was Thad Moffett, the 43 truck. So
back to their roots.
Yes. I mean, this is going to be, this is a relationship between GMS Racing, the truck division, and Rheem Brothers Racing to put the 43 truck on track. And Brad Sykes designed this car. So this truck was designed in honor of Richard Petty's 30th anniversary of his fan appreciation tour back in 1992. Yeah. And when you see the Petty blue and the STP Dayglow red, you just know right away what that sponsor combination is. And for Thad Moffett to take the wheel of it, I think that's going to make Richard very happy. Hopefully this car will look very good at the front. It'll be nice. It would be great to see the 43 back in Victory Lane at Daytona, but this is a classic design. This is one of those sponsors designs that will just like never die. Like it always has a classic look to it. 20 years from now, someone's going to run this and it's going to bring back a whole bunch of memories.
Yeah, it's definitely, and I had a chance to talk to Thad this last week. He did tell me that he'll wear I believe the design of the fire suit that the King wore in his last race.
Okay.
It's exactly how he's going to do it at Daytona. So it's, they're going all in on it. And I cannot tell you, obviously I've known Thad for a long time. And I've been I've known the Petty family for a long time. And they've told me how excited I cannot tell you how excited he is to run this. Right now he's about 12 to 15 races with this team. So we'll see how it goes. But this is one of my favorite schemes, and definitely I told him if you win, the sport's gonna explode. So
that's going to be a huge deal if that 43 STP car goes back to Victory Lane for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Especially when a member of the Petty family is behind the wheel. So first time it's happened since 2008. So
yeah, it's been a while.
It has been a while. All right.
Ooh. So this was designed by Noah Sweet. Excuse me, goes by Lefty Designs.
Yep.
The car does not need to, a good design does not need to be complex. This car is not complex at all. What I do like is the fact that Hooters decided to go with their old logo from like the 90s. And it's only fitting that it's an Elliott that's going to be doing this. But this car kind of reminds you back in 20, I think it was 18, when Hooters Spirits was on the car at Bristol. It had it had the blue lines going down the sides, and then it kind of went upward. This car reminded me of that a lot. And honestly, the blue lines aren't necessary to the car, but it adds some depth to it, very well. And Noah, he's, I think, only 18, 19, 20 years old. And he's one of the more popular younger designers out there. And the fact that he can pull Hooters and Ally and a lot of these big name sponsors to come work with him says a lot about his design work. And he's starting to go towards like the simpler designs, like a couple colors here and there, and it works great. Case in point. Major points though for the old Hooters logo. I love that logo. It's classic NASCAR connection. And like I said, the fact that's with an Elliott says a lot too.
They got the owl on there, and they got a little bit of a shade of blue on there too, which is which I kind of like.
This is one of the few Hendrick cars that, hasn't been a problem in terms of design. There's been a lot of questionable designs on the HMS cars this year, and this is one of the better ones.
All right. What's next? Oh, it's Tron. Okay.
Tron, baby.
Okay, so somebody told me, I believe it was either Jonathan Fiel or Taylor Kitchen who told me this, but it looks like it's something from the movie Tron when I saw this.
Yeah. So this car was designed by, I think his name is Jordan Erickson. He used to work at Penske. And either he used to work at Penske or he does now. I can't remember. Forgive me for that. But this car has such an intricate design to it and a lot of different pieces to it to make it work really well. This car, I fell in love with this car last year. This as like a color chrome die cast would be unbelievable. With how these blues are. And it's kind of cool. Like if you cross your eyes and like you just see the blue kind of pop off the car even more. That's like a test I usually do with, for number contrast on some cars. But this car just has so many great designs to it. You never see a car that looks like this ever. And there's a reason why this car was so popular last year and this year. And I also love the reason why they're running it. But this car was a beautiful car last year. I wish the wheels were blue, but painted wheels add weight and money. But it was so great to see this car at the Clash. Hopefully we see it more again, but this is a car that I think like this is one of those one-off cars that a lot of people are going to remember in the future.
Yeah, this is by far many people's favorite scheme from last year. So
yeah,
lots of fun memories there. All right. I think I know what's now. I think I see what's next on there. Ooh, so changed to the FedEx scheme a little bit this year.
Mr. Sean Kane, who goes by Blackbeard, he worked on this car this year. He's done some work with 2311 in the past and this year so far. It's just like it's such a basic looking car, but then it's not. Like I love the fact that the top half of the car is purple. It fades back to orange. The bottom is the same way. And then you also have like, at the hood vents on the front, like you have that gradient go from orange to purple. And I talked to Sean before. He always told me that his cars, he doesn't look at his cars as race cars. He looks at them all kind of like works of art. And he's just developed this style where it's like, I could see a car and I can tell you right away, Sean Kane designed that race car because he just has this very unique design language to him and his skill set. And I'm very glad they changed the FedEx car this year. I think this car looks absolutely amazing. Hopefully, maybe soon enough, maybe if FedEx Express changes to like Kinko's or FedEx Office, we'll have like that light blue come back, green for FedEx Ground. I think it was red for air. Maybe something like that again in the future. But, this car alone looks amazing. The sports clips part does bother me a little bit because it's just kind of there. But, Associates got to film the car somewhere.
Yeah. Overall, I do like the scheme. It's good to see the purple come back on that car. Ooh,
yeah, like I said, purple cars, you don't see it very often anymore.
From one purple car to kind of one.
So this was Sean Kane again. Yeah. It's a very basic looking car, but Sean has this design language to him. And I'm honestly a fan of the striping going from the bottom up to the front wheel because, there's some cars nowadays, I think the Camaro is one of them. And like in the Dodge camp where you can get like these custom slanted stickers and decals above your rear wheel or above your front wheel to go from your wheel well to your hood as like a racing stripe. This car does that basically. And he uses all the colors in the Ally color palettes. Ally has I think like 5 or 6 colors in their official color palette. He uses them all here. And I'm also a big fan of, the Jimmy Johnson 48 again at the, the right front headlight. That yellow 48 is as like a nod to Jimmy. Because a 48 will always be, Jimmy's car. It'll always be remembered as that. But Bowman's going to really make his name in this car, I think, especially after, 4 wins last year. I think he could be a good breakout driver this year, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, for sure. All right. More purple race cars, I see.
So can't have a paint scheme episode without Trackhouse. Kyle Sykes. This was one of the best adaptations of a 2021 car for this season. all Kyle did was really move the 99 up, make the Tootsie's logo as big as possible. And, you cannot look at this car and not think Tootsie's. You take off, to me, a good paint scheme. You take off all the logos and sponsors on it. If you can identify what the company is by the base of it, it's a very good car. This car does that, especially if you live in Nashville, because the brick pattern is very uniquely to Tootsie's, that like that lavender purplish color. Overall, this car is great. I'm very glad that Tootsie's is back for, I think, 6 races this year, including the 500 this year. And then the rear bumper is going to have like Visit Nashville Music City on it. So this is a Nashville car. I mean, Justin Marks is a Nashville guy. This is Nashville's team, basically. And the fact they expanded this year, Kyle Sykes is gonna have a lot of work to do this year, but I'm sure every car that comes out of this is gonna be amazing.
Yeah. I mean, Nashville was always a fun. I've never been to Nashville, Tennessee. So, I mean, it's definitely interesting for sure. Ooh, I see, a Heartbeat hot sauce car. The Alpha
So this is designed by Ben Horton. This is for Ryan Ellis in the 45 car. One of the things I love about this car is the bottom half of the car, like where all like those graphics are in the white space. Ben could have just made that orange and called it a day. But if you look at the Heartbeat Hot Sauce website and like their brand image, almost, it matches it so well. It's all these logos kind of put together. It gives it like that classic look in any modern restaurant you go to, like any popular new restaurant. They have like these kind of designs like this. And Ben did a great job with this. I mean, Ben and Ryan Ellis have worked together for a little while. And, I think it's a great contrast between number and car. And even in the background of the car, you see like, peppers, like the Heartbeat Hot Sauce logo company. You see like the peppers like behind the contingency panel and the 45 and the Heartbeat logo. I mean, it's subtle details like that made the car pop off even more. And I'm expecting a lot more from Ben this year. I think Ben's a great designer, and him and Ellis are a great combination.
Yeah, for sure. All right, what's next?
This one's easy and quick. Kyle Busch, Interstate Batteries. They took the scheme from last year. They did exactly what many people think they were going to do. Interstate Batteries logo, blow it up big. That's all you need. That's the car. You can tell from a distance this is Interstate Batteries, and it gets the name and logo in your face. That's what the purpose of a good paint scheme does.
Green race cars.
Green race cars.
Yes. Next.
So this was revealed a couple of days ago. The Rally for Valor.com car for Tommy Joe Martins. The 44 is interesting because you have those lines going through it. And Jimmy Johnson did that same thing, I think, last 2 years ago. Excuse me, with Ally at the Coke 600. And for those of you, this is a combo partnership between, I think, Market Rebellion, the Navy SEAL Foundation, and Alpha Prime. The car has like a very Navy-esque look to it. The colors look great. Hassan did a great job with this. And one of my favorite details behind the 44, those rectangles, is the Market Rebellion logo.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, the car looks great. I mean, Ryan does a great job with APR. He's going to be busy this year as well. But between the 44 and the 45 with Lily for Cesar Baccarello, I mean, he's doing a great job so far. And for someone who's only a 21-year-old designer out of Texas, he's got the whole team on lockdown pretty much, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that is for sure. I know that a lot of big things are happening in Alpha Prime, as a lot of interesting things are happening over there. So it's
indeed
paint scheme wise. Oh, another scheme. We're back to
So the last good scheme I'm going to talk about is the Bass Pro Shops car for the number 3. Pretty much kind of what you expected out of a Bass Pro Shops car, that blaze orange camo to it. And it's also the 50th anniversary of Bass Pro Shops. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see perhaps a Bass Pro Shops throwback this year for Austin Dillon, or some scheme like nodding to perhaps Earnhardt with that amazing gold looking car back in the late 90s. So, I always loved the Bass Pro Shops cars. Like that blaze orange is amazing. I'm always was a fan of Jamie McMurray's 2010 car when he won the 500. That was a beautiful Bass Pro Shops car. Excuse me, but I mean, the car has similar design cues to Truex's car, but I'm glad that it's not going to be the same copy and paste car from Truex to Austin Dillon to maybe Ty Dillon. I don't know if Bass Pro Shops goes that route or not, but it's a beautiful car, and I'm sure for the 500, they're going to want to see Bass Pro Shops in victory lane.
Yeah, it's always good to see Bass Pro Shop cars in there. They're going to be busy with all the primaries that they have.
Yeah.
Ton of drivers, and I know.
I want to see the Chevrolet car that ran at the tests between the 3 and the 8. I want to see that on track so bad. I thought that was a beautiful race car. Not sure it's going to happen, but I pleaded my case on social media. I might do it a little bit more, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll have to see on that. Now, you did mention you have some. You've had some pretty good ones, but you also have some misses as well.
Yes, I got 4 misses, I believe.
Yes.
So the first one is the Rheem car for Christopher Bell. It's last year's car, just moved over to this year, but I don't understand why you're going to put the Rheem logo and Rheem.com right beneath the logo when you have all that space above the rear wheel. Now, unless they decide to put associates there, like Roush Family Racing's doing with Roush RFKR is doing with the Fastenal cars. But I don't see that happening right now. But it looks so weird to me, especially with the fact that, Rheem can't re-argue this because look at SHR. Rheem logo, giant, Rheem.com above the rear wheel. So I don't understand why they're doing this, but hopefully the car does not show up with all that blank space. I don't usually see JGR as the kind of company to take a lot of risks when it comes to paint scheme design. Case in point, especially if JGR is designing the car. I'm not sure if they did this car or not, but this base design has been in the arsenal for I think the last 3 years or so. So I mean, I think the colors look great. Design wise, this is a clear miss, 100%.
Yeah. All right, let's see the next miss. Yeah.
I don't understand this one at all. I honestly don't. And I was told a while ago that the scallops were gone. And I kind of had to imagine what the car would look like, but there's just a lot. The car is loud. Like, this is a loud car. It commands your attention, but I've seen a couple designers try their hand at bringing the scallops back. And some of them look pretty good. I'm not going to lie, but to me, a red top on this car would give it like that classic look from like the 70s. I feel like the Shell logo right above the rear wheel does not look good because in that space, there should be a wide logo, not so much a tall one because of the sharp shelf for the logo. And I'm not sure if Shell can put like the word mark Shell because of Sunoco. I don't know. I mean, I feel like the car, it looks like, a car from iRacing, but the whole scheme didn't get loaded in properly. Maybe some updates come. I doubt it because I think they want to go for that loud design, but the car just looks naked, in my opinion. I mean, it just doesn't look that good, especially when you realize that the side skirts right above the exhaust pipes are red, the rear wheel arch is yellow, and then the rear quarter panel is red. So it's like it's missing parts of the car, but yeah, I mean, it's a miss, but there's time to fix it, and hopefully they do.
All right, what's the next miss?
So my issue with JTG this year is what the heck is going on with the hood? They have all that hood space to work with right here, all this hood space, right?
Yeah.
And they're using the bottom 15 of it. They can put the Kroger logo up here, something, but the car just does not. The first couple cars from JTG have not been good. And they're experimenting with the number. It looks like, the number always leaned back. Now it's kind of leaning forward and standing up straight. I don't know. This car JTG's cars as a whole just don't do it. And I think they kind of know with social media, like fans aren't a fan of their car. I think they're embracing it, which I think is a bad idea. But there was even a shirt that came out the other day where it's the 47 car on the shirt and Kroger is on the rear quarter panel. The numbers at the front, and that's it. It's all open space. The car just looks bizarre. So hopefully JTG fixes it. Again, doubt it, but we'll see.
Next.
Well, this is the last one. And this one was a giant, like, WTF for me. I don't get it. I understand what they're going for, but the fact that here's where I think it messes me up a little bit. So if you look at, let's zoom in a little bit. So here's perfectly cut white line, correct?
Yep.
It goes off into a flame and then it cuts straight again. So it looks like the flame is not down all the way, maybe, or something. I don't know. But this whole car, you have the flames going bottom and top. It just does not look good. And looking at it more now, it's aggravating that this car made it through. If they maybe decided to just get rid of the flames connecting to the top and keep the bottom ones, that might look better. But when you're working with red, white, and blue, you got to really be careful with the colors, because anybody can make a red, white, and blue car and it looks like Uncle Sam threw up on it. This is a car that it looks like Uncle Sam threw up on it. And the hood too. I mean, the hood logo is small because of those vents. It is really small.
Yeah.
They could maybe take away the word mark and just blow up the logo. I'm not sure everybody wants that, but I don't know. This to me is one of the worst paint schemes of the year. And Liberty's car last year was good. The first one at HMS was not good. I think maybe it's the red number that's bugging me, but I don't know. The Liberty cars have always kind of been a miss for me. Last year's was great, except the stars on the car were misaligned, but I don't know. I hope HMS can turn their paint scheme design around with designers like Sean Kane. But yeah, it's been a miss for HMS as a whole, I think, this year, paint scheme wise.
Yeah. We'll have to see if they change, but that is all the paint schemes to talk about. Yeah. Let's get that off the screen.
Yeah, it's bad.
It is. Oh my goodness. But anyway, Michael Carey, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us. Look forward to hearing from what's next, and who knows, we might have you on again when throwback time rolls around.
Yeah, man, I'd be honored to be on here. So thanks for having me.